necessarily seen his eyes light up when he's doing something specific. He's good at a lot of different things, but I don't know what he's passionate about, and I'm not sure that he knows. So that's really what my desire for him is, to find and pursue a career that encompasses something that he really is passionate about. And then I think just from a more broader view, for him to be a man who has integrity and who's known for having good character. So, someone who's well respected.
Awesome. What do you think, Dad?
In short, because I can be very long, is, just to be better than me. We've set a standard of obviously getting higher education, to have integrity, to be a faithful husband, respected in the community. He says he wants to be a CEO. I think he's a good leader. I think that, that has to be, it's in him, but challenges are the things that's going to bring it out of him. And at this stage, I want him to confront those challenges so that it does bring it out of him. Right now, he's struggling with that.
I think this day and time, too, is hard. And I know, even in the area, since we grew up in a different place, I noticed that, and I don't know if it's just here, because I've been here for so long, but it seems like mediocrity is celebrated. It's like it's okay if you're just here and just do that. Well, you only told, you didn't show your integrity that time, but that's okay. It's kind of like the bar is lowered continuously, and so it's good to hear that you set that bar and say, well, I want you to be better.
And that's what my father and mother did. Neither finished college. My father had a 4-year scholarship in football, and he went 1 year, got pneumonia, so he couldn't finish the season out, and he finished the school year out. But then he was like, I guess he was pretty sick. He was in the hospital, and then once he got out, he finished the classes and then went into the military. My mother, beautician, and they provided a good life for us, but they always wanted us to do better. And and simply enough, that's what I want for him and for Carr, to excel, use our platform and do more. The expectation is to do better in the next generation.
I have to tell y'all a story. Thinking about integrity, Colin, Trayvon, you guys are one of the reasons why I zeroed in on them. I was listening. They never think that I'm listening. Sometimes they talk about stuff, but I'm a mother of 3, so I hear everything. By the way, now whether I say something that's I leave. Sometimes I let conversations go so that I can hear. I gotta keep my ears to the street to see what's going on at Northside High School sometimes. But one of their classmates had done something to a girl or something, and was being mean, and they pointed out, do y'all remember that day? And you pointed out, and they called him on it. And I hadn't seen 2 young black guys do this in all my career, even in the youth group, and they fussed at him. They said, "You made that girl cry," and and I was like, "Oh my goodness, are they really like getting on to him for that?" Instead of the other way around or whatever. And I don't know if he knew they had made her cry, but they didn't let it go for quite a while. Like the whole beginning of class, they kept going for it. See, I was hurting little dogs. They got on to him and made sure that he knew that he had made that girl cry. And I don't remember every little detail of the conversation, but that stood out in my memory of them was their willingness and not being afraid to call him out on it. And to be on the right side of it. Right. Usually boys are one-upping each other for stuff that they shouldn't be doing, or what on just the other side of that. So I was pleased, and I kind of looked at them a little bit differently after that, hearing what they said to him. Y'all remember that day? What I'm talking about? So I don't know
I
the
remember
details.
the situation too. Because I came home and was, I think, sharing.
Oh, I ain't know. See, with him, it's Desmond. I mean, they know Desmond.
Oh, okay.
But,
No, I wasn't gonna call him by
Desmond,
name.
He was down the street.
But I ain't know his situation because he kind of has a history. But yeah, I know it's when he did the Carla.
Yeah.
Put her on Facebook when he got ISS.
Oh.
Yeah.
They were on the right side of that. And so speaking of integrity, the things that you were putting into him, he's not letting the environment or anybody.
And I tell
take
him, I'm so disappointed in how rampant smoking weed is now. I mean, obviously, in the early 80s, I mean, we had in Florida, we had guys bringing some on the bus, but they were an isolated group.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Now
we
it's like
had,
any and everybody.
we had maybe 1,400 students. You know, each grade had about, you know, at least 300 to 400 students. So that was like a small group.
Mm-hmm.
But it's half of the black boys. I mean, I don't know about the girls, but I mean, and the music just celebrates it, like, you know, and all these different drugs and, you know, and syrup, you know, codeine and syrup and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just,
The things that I have to talk to my 11-year-old about, unfortunately, I'm not ready. But we have those hard conversations, those kinds of things. But
And it's better for
getting
you to be
younger
the
and
one to tell him about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
than, again, for the street committee to be the ones telling him about it.
yes,
first.
everything he knows will be learned. Yes, will be learned from mama and daddy. But no. All right. So thinking about integrity, that made me think about that time where that they stood up for her.
I think he's going to be a businessman and a preacher.
Businessman and a preacher.
I think
Both of
that's
those
wishful-
require a whole lot
I
of
think
time.
that's
Which
wishful
one?
thinking on Dad's part about the preacher, because Dad is a preacher. He's a preacher, so he's wanting his son
So
to
you
follow
want
his
him to.
footsteps.
I just
Well, he
think
may.
that he will.
He may. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're a preacher, and what other? Is that your main
And a
profession?
licensed counselor.
A licensed counselor for marriage or
Yeah, marriage and family
marriage and family counseling. Awesome. I tried to convince my husband that we should do that, but he was totally not into it. Like once we made it past the first part of our marriage, when it was getting ready to fall apart, and now we're okay. I was like, oh, we should do this for a living. We can get anybody through anything after what we've done. But he was totally not into it.
And
I
then
guess
she's
he
an
got
attorney,
it.
so there's always this standing joke. If I couldn't help him, then she can help
You at least get
break
him out.
up.
We can't help put them
You
back
can't help-
together. I can
You
help.
can make sure the papers are right. Now, do you have your own firm?
No, I work for Georgia Legal Services.
Work for Georgia Lee? Okay. Awesome. I was thinking. No. Oh, no, that was something else. I'm trying to think of a friend of mine who was working with, I think it was something else, legal services. I don't think it was Georgia's legal services. Is there another one?
Not here in the middle Georgia area.
Like, do they have it for
Services.
county? Do they do it by county or is it by state?
Like we have
Regions.
actually set
Regions.
up by regions, and our office handles all of the Middle Georgia region, which is 24 different counties.
You need
But
to
do
get
you know
out, buddy.
Tamika Daniel? I was thinking.
What
about-
church do you go to?
I got a New Hope.
Oh, okay. So now I was thinking maybe one of my colleagues you might have met.
I don't know. In this city, it's so small and so many people and names
Right.
and parents, and so
Right.
I get them all confused. So I already asked you guys about him reading early and kind of like seemed overnight for you. But you said you didn't think math was his strong suit growing up.
No, that was not my strong
That was
suit.
your strong suit.
But I mean, from the very beginning, I have seen that everything seemed to just come very naturally without a whole lot of effort when it came, especially to math. Like I said, it was just like he would just do things, and I was like, "How did you do that?" And for me, not being good at math, I want to see all the
Yeah.
steps
But
because
he
I
could
want to
just
see
come up.
how did you get that? How did you get that right? Because I'm thinking, I don't know how he got that answer. And he's like, most of it he did in his head. And so, being somebody who didn't get math, it was clear to me, once he started doing math that was harder than what I could do on my own without reading up on it beforehand, that he got it. That it was one of those subjects
It was
that
logical
clicked
to him.
with
It clicked.
Right.
He could see concrete. Here's the challenge now, because I taught 5 years here at middle school in math, and he got it, but now there's the application, so that you reinforce.
Yes.
See, he can sit there and he can see it and he can kind of hear, and he's nodding, but he's not applying the discipline of practicing to solidify it.
And that's probably, Colin, do you think that would be the hardest part of my class, is how much you have to explain and understand more than just with the number sense?
Like the test, we had to do a lot of explaining.
Yeah, I get them with that stuff a bit more than some of the others. But Colin, what are did you hear your parents talk about what they wanted for you? What do you want for you? Like as the end all.
I want to be wealthy, happy, with a family, and a legacy.
You want to leave a legacy. So what is going to get you your wealth?
Being different.
Okay. All right, I'm going to write this down for you and type it up. Those 4 things that you said. Now you got to have a plan on how you're going to attain all of those. We'll see.
Colin, I want you to actually be a part of this. So do you mind coming over here to the table and turning off the TV? And Trayvon, I know you can go back to the back and watch TV in there. Okay, sweetie.
He said this is his house. He's at home anyway.
Oh yeah, he knows where everything is.
So when Colin's home, other than hanging out with Trayvon, like what type of things does he do?
He likes to go outside, and this has been something that has come about once again. But he's really been enjoying going outside and playing basketball. He kind of went through a phase last year where he was like, I don't want to do any sports, and this is after having done sports all his life.
And excel.
Yeah, and being amazing, you know. So
Did
the
that hurt
coaches,
your feelings?
It didn't hurt my feelings. I think what hurt me was that I know what life is for a young black male, and I know the things that are in him, and I wanted him to be able to confront those challenges and not shy away from them and say they don't matter, because they really do. But I really, my whole thing was not to push him in any sport. Mine was to get himself in condition to be ready for whatever it is that he wanted. And I think that he looked at his size, and I think just, there was some event, and he's never really shared that. There was something that discouraged him from, and he just shut it all down. His right after 7th grade year. He had met some adversity where he was doing well. He was sharing time with a good friend of his in football, and basically the coach, he never played any football. But I didn't interfere. I wasn't a helicopter. I'd pick him up from practice, and I knew Coach Ivory at Thompson, and I was like, what was going on, whatnot, and he just kind of informed me. He's like, he's kind of hard headed or whatever. The other coach at 7th grade, and I just kind of left it at that, and but yeah, I was a little frustrated. But after the season, he didn't really acknowledge it. But I think it just kind of got to him, to where it was like, nah, I don't want this, and then the next season, he didn't want basketball, and he just didn't want anything. So I was like, okay, he hadn't shared that, and then again, he was a little small in size, but I told him he's going to, genetically, he's probably going to be taller than me. I'm thinking that he, because my father was 6 foot, maybe ½ inch. My brother was 6 foot and 3/4 inch. I'm 6'1", 3/4 inch. Colin will probably be 6'3". I didn't have no size 12 until I was like in the 12th grade. He's in the 9th grade. He's the size 12 shoe, and his height is already accelerating. So, but I was telling him that he's growing. He'll grow into that, but he, so it was discouraging for me to know that he has all this talent, but now some event caused him to kind of shut it down. But he's kind of getting it back. What he's, in high school is a whole nother level, and that's the thing I was telling him. Conditioning, the discipline that it requires.
Yeah, it's more than the sport. You're
Yeah,
thinking
it
of
is.
the
Exactly.
what you learn about
Oh,
life
the life
and
skills,
yourself. Yeah.
the adversity. You know, that you don't want to go to practice. You just. I mean, you're literally cursing in your head. I hate this
Or out
doggone
loud.
practicing, or out loud, and still
really
going through with it. And then when you finish it, it's like, you know, I can handle. You know, and you just every day you're reinforcing your ability to persevere. So, you know, but he's like I said with basketball, he's pursuing that and getting and you know more into that and challenging himself and you know.
Pretty good. So you're gonna make the team this year.
Yes.
We'll see. Now, I love sports. I do. But if you need help, you have to do the suicides, whatever it takes to come for tutoring.
Of course.
Whatever it takes.
He's making us run laps.
Oh yeah. But I don't think they'd let your grades drop, and
No.
and you don't have that in you anyway. What about with you and your sister? You guys have a pretty good relationship. Does she come home often?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she's come home. So far, she's been in school since August, and she's been home 3 times. And she was begging me to come and get her today because she wasn't feeling well. And she's like, "Well, if I'm sick, I'd rather be sick in my own bed." And I was like, "No, Carl, that's too much going. We're not coming up to Kennesaw." But it's interesting because since she's been gone, he has taken her room just for studying. Growing up, they both always did their homework right here at the kitchen table. But now he goes into her room because she's got a little table, you know, desk with a lamp, and he sits in there and
He knocks it out pretty
focused,
good.
and he likes it. So that has kind of become his little sanctuary for his work and you know getting his homework and stuff done. And he said he likes it. So I don't know if in a roundabout way it's because he feels like
They
he's
used
in a
to do it
room,
together.
right? Well, or just that it brings, you know, he's kind of with his sister in a sense that he's in her space. But he would never admit to
Really?
He probably not thinking
It's
that deep about it.
because
That's the woman.
When I'm at the table, there's a lot going on. But when I'm in there, I turn off the light, and it's like a little lamp right here. And it's like that's all I can
Your
see.
focus. Okay. Well, it's good you recognize.
Well, then I
that.
think he's more like her because see, my daughter and I are more extroverted, and the two of them, I think. But see, he's a combination.
Yeah, he is. And that's one of the things, like I said, I didn't so much see in terms of intellectual ability. I mean, I always thought he was smart, but I didn't know, I wasn't really sure because I was comparing him to our daughter who was much more verbal, much more vocal. So things were just so much more obvious with her. So I wasn't quite seeing him as, you know, necessarily anything more than slightly above average and that he would do well in school, but I didn't know whether he would be in honors classes and things like that. What I saw in him more than anything else was the fact that he has so much personality and he was so funny. I mean, even as an infant before he could talk, he started doing this thing where I thought he was having some type of seizure because he would grab his hands and he'd make these faces. And the first time he did that, it scared the daylights out of me. And everybody is laughing, and they gave it a name, and it was Strongman, and you would say Strongman. And he couldn't even talk. He'd start making this face and doing this. And I was like, he is full of personality. He's got a lot of humor. And so I think that what I saw out of him more than the intellectual thing was that he's got a great personality. This little kid is, you know, he's very funny.
Believe it or not, strong moral connection and a sense of humor are characteristics of gifted children. Because you have to kind of have a level of intelligence to
Right.
make things funny
Right.
and see that. So he's just got also those things that he was doing that we may not as parents recognize
Right.
as signs of giftedness were right there.
Because like I said, I thought he was crazy. I was either, okay, and especially I was like, okay, he's either
He can't
having
breathe.
some
He
type
can't
of
breathe. He didn't know what was
physical
But I could see
issue
it
or he's crazy.
because his grandfather, I mean, he'll crack a joke at any moment. I mean, he's just always joking, and I could see the expression. It wasn't a seizure because he kept repeating it,
Right.
and he could do, and then he could do it at will, you know. And I saw it. I mean, and I was like,
So then
This guy
language
is
too
a
may have
clown.
been something that he picked up, because if people were saying strongman and he made that
Right.
connection.
He made that
to it.
connection, and he saw the reaction and the response he got out of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone just laughed and was just like, here's this little infant child who's like 6 months old and doing this for people every time they say strongman. And so, like I said, once I realized he was okay, then I thought.
Then you could laugh.
Yeah, I'm
But
like,
at first you
it's amazing.
want to
He's
give him
really
oxygen.
funny. Yeah, I was ready to take him to the hospital. Get him checked
I was like,
out.
nah,
That
we
is
ain't going
funny
to
to know.
He was fun like a granddad.
All right, so Colin, I gave you a packet of a few things that would just help
Are you all done?
us get together. I am. Thanks so much. But for you to think about, and one of those things your mom mentioned, that you may not really be sure yet, where you want to go. You want wealth, but there's things that you got to think about to be able to get there. You want to leave a legacy. Well, how do you do that? And so this, the one that I told you that wrote on there questions for tonight, just go through some of these things, and they're designed to kind of help you start thinking about, who you are, who you want to be, the legacy you want to leave, and just more things about yourself that you probably, you don't sit around asking yourself, what makes me me? But I want you to do that for me this week if you can, and bring some of those to me. But this one is just, like 3 words that describe you. When you're at home, like, what are you thinking about? What subjects do you do best? If you could, and some of them are real open-ended where, let your brain be limitless. If it, one of them says, someday I would like to, how many different things could you pull in there? But just be yourself and write some of those things. Write some of those things down. And I kind of got some of them as I was asking you and talking with you. And then the other one is a questionnaire, really more so about your strengths academically, like when you read, when you write, when you study, that kind of stuff, for you to just say yes, no, or sometimes on it. So hopefully these will go pretty fast. The one I was telling you about that might take a while is the multiple intelligences survey, which will help me figure out not only, like kind of where your personality falls in with the spectrum of gifted children, but also what how you learn best. Like, are you one who, like, I think your parents kind of already know you were just taking stuff in, and then overnight it just seemed like you got it. So that kind of thing, how you learn, and this will help us figure out that. But do you go grab that folder? Did you bring it home?
Yes.
Grab that one so we can look at this one. It's long and I don't know. I can't take time from our class to do it because we got so much stuff to cover. But it's probably about 9 sections, and then you have to like multiply it or do all that kind of stuff. I can do this part for
for
them.
the gifted program now, like they had before, you just go down to Perry and you have like a one.
Mm-hmm.
Like
We
a
take
semester,
we
like-
just take a series of classes, and I think we'll take 3 classes. The first one was like this whole semester. Like we're still doing it. And write some interest survey. It's just all good stuff for me because I got to write up a whole lot. And I like some of these questions. Now, your these favorites, those kinds of things. I mean, I don't know. This doesn't really help me a whole lot with like how your brain works and what you're thinking about. So you don't have to do that section. Let me mark that on there. I'll put that on here. This part is optional if you want to. This will just be
when
fun
you say
stuff to know.
optional, that means okay.
He's not gonna do it. See, and I know that. That's why I don't tell y'all the bonus questions on the test sometimes. I told them one bonus today, but there were other bonus questions on there.
Oh, for
You
real?
think you could figure out which ones they were?
I bet I know the hardest one on there that didn't make sense. Number 13.
What was it?
The one about the person who dropped the ball from a certain height.
Oh yeah.
That was bonus.
Mm-mm.
I missed that one. I can't do that.
I remember that question, but that wasn't
I missed that
that wasn't one of the bonuses. Okay, so you hold on to that one. I just remember which pieces I gave you. So before I leave, we'll start on that first section of stuff, just so we get an idea of how it goes for you. Let me think. What else was it? Let's go. So some of and on the write up that I'll do, I'm going to share it with you guys. I want to be able to. I like technology, and I use I like for the kids to watch videos, and we do things like that. And so I'd love to be able to. Take some of these and scan them and upload them so that I can make a video about Colin, because I have to share with the class about him, and that was part of the.
Oh, our third period?
No,
my class. The adults, not you.
Not your math class.
Yeah, so don't try to stunt on everything. Be truthful and be honest. But I'll share that with them. And I think it's just easier. People get a better picture than me just sitting talking. Because they would, they don't get to have this opportunity to have a conversation with you guys and be like, oh my God, he did that. And then start making those connections. So I like to use video and images and stuff like that too, to kind of portray what it is I'm trying to say. So if you don't mind, I'd love to go through this and pick a couple of things.
Absolutely.
Should we write on it, like where I got it from?
What now?
Like if I take something out, I don't want to not
as
you
long
not
as
remember
don't
where
display
it goes
his,
back.
like social
Right.
security numbers,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I have to even change his name. Like they'll see
Okay.
his face, but we have to call him. Something
Right.
else. What do you want me to call you?
Chico.
Chico. So you'll be Chico. So on the write up, his name will be different, and
Right.
all of the information will be whited out, and like I'll just have to write in. I'll just make up something and write it in. But
No, I like
none of that
Julio.
information.
Julio.
Julio.
Either way, you want something
Julio
that's like
Chico.
Hispanic, huh?
You want this?
It's a joke.
Chico Julio Chavez. We'll give you a whole name. The third, Junior.
I think this is all this came. And
And
that's
so I definitely want to take some. I can probably just take snapshots of some of this to show how his giftedness early on was interpreted
I
as.
appreciate it.
It was totally misinterpreted, and I got to do another part of the class was we had to choose like different groups of classes. I don't really know what to call them, but special populations or whatever. And I chose the minority and low socioeconomic, because usually those kind of go together. And oh my goodness, the things that I read and the stuff that I learned about how differently we are viewed when it comes to that. Tragic, but something that needs to be changed. And so to get, I believe in that class it's probably about half and half. It's not majority white or majority black. It's a pretty good mixture in there. But it's hard to even get teachers to start that conversation, which is sometimes hard because people don't want to admit that, it's not in my heart, but I may just through the way I was brought up or in life or, just stereotypes in general, bombarded with certain views and aspects, and teachers hold on to that stuff too. So it was very interesting to try to, and I used humor, of course. I had all kinds of funny things in my video with Little John, and it was hilarious. But sometimes to be able to start that conversation is a hard thing. But I did choose Colin for that reason, because he doesn't fit what textbook shows as gifted, or what the numbers say the gifted population looks like. And then of course that one bit where he was getting on the Desmond, I was like, I looked at him and said, I like this kid. And he reminds me of my son. My son is growing out an afro, or trying to. It's just a little teeny. Sure, growing out an afro, and he's funny and laid back, but still.
Right.
It reminds me of my son Daniel.
See, that was when he was first growing out the afro, right? First time you ever tried to grow out an afro, he was in first grade.
So you were doing that, right?
Yeah.
Now, couldn't tell between the beginning of the school year and now if he's gotten taller or if his hair's gotten taller.
He's gotten taller.
But
He's
see,
gotten
I'm
taller,
like,
yeah.
wait a minute,
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
shot up.
He
know.
is shooting up. I mean, I see him every day, and there are some mornings when I look
He
at
is
him
grown.
like, you have grown since yesterday.
Yes. I
It's these
think so
certain
too.
shoes I wear.
So this, let me.
I'm about to sit down.
There's certain shoes you wear.
Those ones I got. The red ones, they go with this shirt, actually.
You wore those